Welcome back to the Poughton House. I'm Steve. This is my 2004 1/2 Duramax. It is an LLY model, and we got some problems. Truck is coming up with a 1093 code, which is a low fuel rail pressure, and there's a lot of things been done to try to solve it, and we found out that our FPR may be the culprit. Now, we have already replaced all the fuel lines. We have taken the fuel filter out of line. We've put a lift pump in with fuel filters on it. We have replaced an injector that was bypassing, and we still have a low fuel rail pressure. What we found was the FPR doesn't appear to be closing all the way. I've already replaced the injection pump in this truck, so I got to have a conversation with the people I got it from, but it appears that the FPR is the problem. So today we're going to yank that FPR out, put a new one in, and see if that fixes the problem. This is my personal truck. This is what I use to tow my camper with, and it is camping season, and I need to go camping. So let's get started. I'm going to disconnect the batteries, just because we're going to be taking a bunch of wiring off, moving stuff around to get to where we need to get to. I just don't want any problems. Now, the reason I'm using a 9/16 wrench to take the battery cable off, GMC trucks, Chevy trucks, all GM products, back in that era, used side post batteries. I have extensions on it. This truck is custom built by me to pull my camper. It's 3500 series. It is a straight frame, meaning it was bought originally as a cabin chassis. Well, what it has on the back, and I'll show this later in another video, this truck actually has an ambulance body on the back. It wasn't bought to be an ambulance, but it has an ambulance body on the back. Now, the reason for that was we needed something that we can tow around the camper, climb in the back, go to sleep, whatnot. Put an ambulance body on the back. We connected the body of the truck to the cab of the truck. It has a complete walkthrough, which we'll show later. You'll also notice that the body is completely gutted. Started from scratch with everything. So for all the people out there that do the camper vans and bus conversions, ambulance conversions, definitely going to want to check out what we do with this. This is a very, very unique build. Using a 15mm socket and ratchet, taking off the 4 bolts holding the compressor down. This build, it's been a long time coming. Now we're going to get this thing completed. Currently, it has a flooring in it. We've already got the flooring done. We've got windows in it. We haven't done painting yet. We will. We got to finish up some body work first before we do the painting. That should just lift right out of there. Now we're just going to take and get this guy out of the way. We're going to wind up taking off the alternator, at least the wiring to the alternator. We're going to get this harness up and out of the way. All right, now the next big thing I got to take off is this coolant pipe. Take this pipe out. If anybody asks the question, well, why don't you just discharge the air conditioning system and unbolt it and take it out of the way? Why? It's a lot more effort than it needs to be. I can push it out of the way and not worry about it. So this pipe right here has to come out, and this top, this is where the thermostat housing is. So the thermostats are right here and here. We're going to take these out to get underneath. So it's a bit tricky to get in there. It is no fun. We're just going to do the best we can. So now's about time to drain the cooling system. Let that drain down a little bit. The clamps on this truck, they were all the squeeze type. I do forget the name of those clamps. The squeeze type clamps that every manufacturer likes to use because they're easier on a production line. I replaced them with worm gear clamps. I won't say worm gears are the best way to go. Personally, like T-bolt type hose clamps, constant torque version. They're a bit expensive to put on a truck like this and not really necessary for this application. So there's a strap that is bolted right to the intake. We're going to get that out of there. That's a 12mm. One thing you'll notice, I don't use a whole lot of power tools, especially with aluminum. Yes, everybody does it. Yes, it is popular. Yes, it is faster. And yes, I'm probably the old school guy, but I tend to believe that when you're taking something apart like this, especially in aluminum, if I break them loose with hand tools and then take them out with power tools, I'm a little happier. That way I know I'm not ripping threads out or breaking bolts and doing things I shouldn't do. I know it's a lot faster to do it the other way, but that's okay. I'd rather do it once than have to sit there and fight with a broken bolt. What they say, every 30-second job is one turn away from a 6-hour endurance test of a broken bolt. I'm not interested in that. All right, so that's ready to come off. Gotta get that guy out. So we pulled the ECU, which on this truck is located right down here. We pulled it out and back probed it. What that means is we were able to actually put it right up here on the battery with probe pins and monitor different voltages and signals coming through the engine computer to power the fuel pressure regulator. We had suspicion of it just because of the type of problem it is, but you really don't know, is it the FPR or is it the ECU that's doing it? Get yourself some kind of cushion, because this does not feel good on your gut or parts lower when it gets hooked. Don't ask me how I know. Right down here is a fuel pressure regulator valve. Right there. That's your FPR. What that does is your injection pump develops pressure. The FPR actually works backwards as what you would think and relieves the pressure. So it opens up to lower the pressure in the fuel rail. It closes a plunger in order to build the pressure in the fuel rail when you want higher pressure, when you're trying to go faster, pull, and that kind of thing. Fortunately, it's a CP3 pump, which is kind of common. It's a common rail pump, very popular and very durable. So there's 3 bolts on it. 2 side bolts are not that difficult to get to. One on the bottom, well, that's a challenge. So we may be taking a few more things out of here to get to it, specifically this guy right here. That would be my intake. So I really don't want to do that one, but I may have to. I'm going to try to do it without taking the intake out. So the intake pipe has to come out. Usually I am that idiot that fights everything until the bitter end. Eventually I win, but not without a whole lot of cussing and a whole lot of pain. Don't misunderstand me. I like the Duramaxes. I prefer the Cummins motors, the earlier versions. I do like this truck a lot. Very comfortable, very easy to drive. And I guess the biggest thing I like so much about it, I have it very quiet. Now that's, I know, very unusual to say to any diesel guy that wants the big black smoke coming out and everything like that. This truck has a 4-inch exhaust on it, but it also has a 52-inch Diamond Stealth muffler on it to quiet it down. This is what my wife and I use to go relax and enjoy. I don't want to make a lot of noise. We made it nice and quiet and comfortable. She breathes really well. And anybody knows the LLYs, you'll know that they suffered from a lot of heat issues. And I have focused a lot of effort on trying to alleviate as much of the heat issues as possible. Not necessarily by buying products and, hey, some salesman told me this is what you do and this is the best product for it. Some of the stuff I've made myself, and it works. It's nothing crazy, it's simple. I'll point them out in another video, exactly how I did it. Maybe you might want to do it too. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something over these holes. This is for my EGR system in the truck, and no, it is not defeated, it is not deleted. It is still functioning and working. I'm not thrilled with that, but it is working. It is necessary. This truck is emissions compliant. Broken loose, now I just got to spin it out. And there it is. That's the one we think is causing the problem.
There we go.
There we go.
There's the new one.
There's the new one. So we're going to get this guy in there, and then we're going to get out of the weather because it's still hot out here. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Part 2. All right, all 3 are in. Yeehaw. Now let's take a look. This is my plug for my FPR. Okay. I'm just inspecting it to make sure I still don't have any issues with it. For today, it's going to go back in place. All right, so there we have it. New FPR is in place. And I'm hot, I'm tired, and I think I'll put this thing back together tomorrow. So that's it for part 1, how to get it out, replace it. Part 2, we'll put her back together, take her for a ride, and hopefully we got it. That's all that we got for today, and have a good day. Remember, if you don't try, you won't get anywhere. So if you say you can't, then you won't. So never say can't. Have a good day.